Hello, my name is Margaret Mullin, and I am Artistic Associate and Media Director for Ballet Tucson. I'm also a special guest teacher for our 36th annual Summer Dance Workshop. And today it's my pleasure to be joined by my very dear friend, Matthew Renko, who is also a special guest teacher this summer. Matthew, thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
And we're excited to have you this summer. Can't wait.
I've never been to Tucson, so I'm really looking towards it. I'm ready for some warm weather, I have to admit.
Yes, you are currently based in Chicago. You have lived all over the country while pursuing your dance career. So you've lived in quite a variety of places, and Chicago seems to have spoken to you. So yes, it'll be warmer than Chicago.
It has to be. Any place at this point is.
Well, I'm really pleased for everyone to get to know you a bit better before you come. You'll be teaching for the first week of our program. So you're kicking us off as we going through the 4-week program, which is exciting. It'll be great. And I'm just wondering, how old were you when you started dancing and what drew you to dance?
I was 8 years old. What drew me into dance was that I didn't care about dancing is the point. I grew up with a sister who did dance since she was 3, and I did a lot of different physical things when I was a kid. But one of the last things I did was gymnastics in our hometown. And around when I started, the gymnastics and dance studio combined forces in one building. So I would be there doing gymnastics, and then my sister would be doing dance. And so I would say I definitely witnessed enough dance over time, and I just never thought much about it. And it wasn't until maybe after a year of being at that studio that one of the owners asked my mom if I would be interested in, taking a dance class. And so my mother asked me if I would, and to be honest, I think just out of the fear of disappointing her or something like that, I let her talk me into doing it, and I guess it just clicked. I know I was I was always a very nervous kid, and the fact that I never liked being in the spotlight. It's nerve-wracking, which is probably why I will never become an actor, I guess. But but what drew me into dance is the fact that when we would start playing music in the studio, a lot of times it's, classical melodies or something like that, and I would recognize it because my mother would play a lot of classical music when I was growing up, that and jazz and musicals and all that stuff. So I would recognize the tunes even if I didn't know what they were. So that brings some kind of comfort. And then I would say the one aspect about dance that I really enjoyed was jumping, especially Gran Allegro, big jumps. I really loved just throwing myself in the air, because it's the closest thing you can really do to flying on your own type thing. And I just really like that sensation of traveling and everything. So, of course, as the years go by and you develop stronger skills and whatnot, and you're recognized for your abilities, of course, that makes you attach yourself to the art a little bit more, because he doesn't like to be, appreciated for doing something. But I would say that's where it really started, was just the bond of music and movement.
That's really beautiful. Sure. And you actually answered another question I had for you. I was going to ask you later what your favorite part of class is, and it seems like definitely jumping.
Yes.
I have seen it firsthand. You're a phenomenal jumper. We danced together at Pacific Northwest Ballet for a few years and got to see your very dynamic style. So I think that held from your youth, certainly. And so when did you decide that you wanted to become a professional dancer? How long did it take for it to really start resonating with you?
It didn't take very long, to be honest. Because a few years into being a student, I started attending a ballet studio that had a company attached to it. And so the kids would be used in most of the productions, because there was always a story ballet of some sort, and, get those kids on stage. And so I would witness a lot of professional productions and dancing. And I I think it just kind of clicked to me, the idea of being like, oh, I could possibly do that. Or, you know, even if with enough of an ego, I'd be like, I can already do that. but the idea of being able to be center stage, being able to see certain dances. Like I remember the first time I ever saw Sleeping Beauty, this Columbia City Ballet was the company's name. I would watch it and I would see all, you know, there's how many variations and whatnot throughout that whole ballet, so many. And so it was really marvelous to see all these different dancers and characters being able to just be the center of the attention, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, it's really powerful for young dancers to get to see professionals, successful professionals, especially up close and personal. And I know we're really proud to have our professional company, you know, with our school so that the students can dance alongside them, but also go to the shows and see them firsthand, you know, the people that they see around the studios all the time. It's I think, a really powerful experience for students. And you ended up dancing your dream role a couple times. Bluebird, you were Bluebird. It's a hard one.
It's fun.
It's a lot of jumping. There you go.
It's a lot of jumping.
Very exhausting role for any male dancer, for sure. But you were great in it, I remember. And I'm wondering if you can just, you know, as we're getting to know you and how you started in ballet, what do you love about ballet? What really speaks to you most about this art form, do you think?
And this is probably not very specific to ballet. I think it's art in general, but it is just so, it's very personal. The art of it is personal. It's in that even though, like, if you go to the ballet with a friend and they're knowledgeable of dance, and you know, they could point out to you, like, say if you didn't know anything about it, and they can point out to you like, oh, like, you know, they could point out all the technical greatness to try to educate, like, oh, this is why that's great, or that's great. The reality is that the beauty about dance is that it resonates to people in different ways. So even, I mean, people who don't know anything about dance can still take something away from it, just from how a performer radiates to an audience. So it's not necessarily about, you know, it's not like a sport, or I would say like let's say gymnastics. It is an art. They have a whole style to it, but it's all about points in the long run. Whereas, you know, unless you're in a dance competition, performing wise, it really is more about just the performance aspect of it. Technique as a means of a way. But at the end of the day, we're not being graded per performance. It's also, it brings a big element of escapism, especially because of music. And that's music in general. That's, you know, everyone now, when you're walking around town, you always have your headphones on going, because music motivates and it inspires. And so with the music element in dance, it already draws people in. And then with dance, it gives people the ability to see what music can be in ways that they probably never would have thought of it before, like visualize it. That's a big conversation I had with my mom a lot, was the more ballet she saw, because she also herself, she's not a choreographer by any means, but she even will say like, oh, when I hear music, I can just see, you know, shapes and figures in my head. And then when she watched dance, she's just like, oh, I love how that went about. But at the same time, there could be moments where she saw a dance, she's like, I didn't get it. Like, I don't know how that came out of that type thing, which I think is also a wonderful thing. So like any art, it's meant to inspire, but it's also meant to be thought-provoking. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I like that it's something, it's not about logic. It's, you know, it's not math. I mean, watching it is not math. But it does make you have to process what you're thinking and feeling. Mm-hmm. and I feel like a lot of times a big part of the populace doesn't take the time to do that on the regular in this, you know, go, go, go type of world. So I think dance brings that to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity to just have a few moments with yourself and while experiencing other people, which I think is really a beautiful thing that we provide through dance is, like you said, checking in with your own emotions and your thought process. And even what, you know, there's the classical ballets that tell the story, but there's also a lot of abstract ballets, like you mentioned, abstract dances that it's up to you to interpret what you're seeing on stage, how it relates to you, how it doesn't, whether it speaks to you, whether it does not speak to you. It's nice to have an opportunity to for I think people to express themselves even as an audience member through what they're seeing, how they're connecting to what they're seeing. So that makes a lot of sense. That is what you love about it.